Namibia has the best skies for astrophotography because it is mostly desert and sparsely populated. But things don't always go to plan. So let me tell you about our recent camping trip to Blutkoppe. Astrophotography is a rich and rewarding hobby that gets you out in nature and has something to show for it at the end. It has many technical issues to be overcome, and this makes a successful session so much more rewarding. First and foremost, you have to be able to see the stars. Humans indirectly generate a lot of light, and this background light washes out the dim light of the stars. Even the moon is too bright, and you have to pick a date when the moon won't be visible for the whole night, ideally close to a new moon. With these variables in mind, we picked a remote location of Blutkoppe in the Namib Desert, just a few days after a new moon. Remote locations, especially remote locations in the desert, come with their own challenges. Roads are often not great, and you have to sustain yourself for the time that you are there. Fortunately for us, we bring along a few necessities to keep ourselves comfortable. Blutkoppe gets the name from the deep red hues of the mountains during sunset, and the trees around the mountain provide some welcome shade during the heat of the day. The camp on the first night was not ideal, as we did not have a clear view of the horizon, and there was a nearby uranium mine that caused a significant amount of light pollution. By changing our location to put a mountain between us and the mine, we could ensure nice dark skies for the second night. Photographing stars is also a bit technical. Most consumer cameras are not optimized for photographing in such dim light, and you really have to push the limits of what they can do. This means long exposures, high ISO settings, and manually focusing. The equipment I brought along is the amazing Sony a7S II. It has incredible low light performance and has some focusing aids. There are many guides online for astrophotography settings, but as a rule of thumb, set your ISO to the camera's native ISO, the aperture as wide as the lens allows, and do test shots adjusting the exposure until you are happy with the output. Shoot with RAW and JPEG. Once you have your settings dialed in, put the lens cap back on and take 4 pictures with the lens cap on. These are so-called dark frames, and you will need them in processing later. Then take all the pictures you want. In my case, that means starting a time lapse and taking pictures all night long to make these amazing time lapses of the Earth spinning below the stars with a bunch of processing. The other camera I brought along is an Insta360 X4. I'm still dialing in the specifics to get proper footage of the entire night sky for the whole night. There's no focus to set, but that is about the only thing counting in my favor. The camera needs to have its ISO set to its maximum of 1600 and exposure times of 50 seconds to capture the Milky Way. And the battery only lasts for about 2 hours in interval mode for the time lapse. With these settings, hot pixels are a problem, as is noise from the sensor. To power the cameras beyond what their normal batteries can do, you need to have an external power source. And for this, I got a cheap lithium power pack that provides both AC and USB charging ports. Luckily, the cameras are not that hungry, and you don't need a massive unit. In providing power, I ran into some weird issues too. The power pack also generates some light, and to get the camera far away from that light, I purchased some USB extension cables. On my previous camp, the 360 camera only lasted 2 hours, and I initially thought that I must have messed up the connections from the battery to my cameras. On this camp, I made doubly sure that the 360 camera was showing that it is externally powered, but to my surprise, it still only lasted 2 hours. Apparently, the USB cables are smart and they power down after a little while. With some further testing, I also realized that the USB-A ports on the battery pack do not supply the needed current to keep the camera up and running. Still, with just about 2 and a bit hours of shooting, and the moon washing out the stars, I did get a little surprise meteor shower just as the moon was setting. In October, the Orionids meteor shower is waning, but this was in the wrong part of the night skies. No idea what that was about, but I'm happy to have it in any case. Long story short, test your equipment before you go to the time and expense of going to a remote location. Now I have a USB-C cable and it tested good, which will hopefully allow me to capture a full night of stars on the next expedition.